¿Alguna vez te has preguntado, ¿puede el club ser un espacio clave para el futuro de los latinos?
Hola, somos Cami y Edu, tus hosts del día de hoy, y hemos creado este podcast por múltiples motivos. Uno de ellos es salir a la calle, observar en real time, en la vida real, qué está pasando en las calles de Chicago, what's popping, y verlo desde el marco del futurismo latinoamericano.
En Arrebichuela, estos episodios ahora son nuestra excusa para salir a clubs y salir a shows y vivir la vida nocturna de Chicago con una excusa para pariciar hasta las tantas y hoy es un vivo ejemplo de eso.
Exacto. Y bueno, para ti que te gustan los conceptos y entiendas, FLÁ es un proyecto audiovisual con la finalidad de investigar, exponer, educar y expandir el concepto de futurismo latinoamericano. La temática de hoy es
la música electrónica y el club en FLÁ.
Pero bueno, antes de comenzar vamos a hacer un breve catch-up antes de lanzarnos a la rumba. ¿Que va a lanzar quién?
Ya mismo sabrá.
Exacto. ¿Cómo has estado? ¿Cuál es tu catch-up de fin de año?
Pues ahorita estábamos hablando antes de empezar a grabar, pero acabamos de pasar Acción de Gracias, la pasamos juntos en familia, fue increíble, comida bien rica, bien, me encanta como que pasar, hemos ya pasado 2 Thanksgiving juntos o 3.
2.
Y siempre son bellos.
No 3 porque uno cuando estábamos en la universidad yo hice uno y éramos tú, Isa, David y yo.
Éramos 4 gatos.
Éramos 4 gatos. Qué divertido.
Qué divertido. Eso pasó. La comida increíble host.
Gracias, I know. Me encanta hostear gente.
Y pues con Sanguini mi mamá estuvo aquí y fue bien bonito tenerla aquí una semanita, aunque estuvo frío y todo, pero la pasamos súper.
Yeah.
Y para seguir el tema del episodio de hoy, que es los clubs y la música y todo, la semana pasada vi a Paul McCartney, eso estuvo cabroncísimo, y vi a la inigualable Silvana Estrada.
¿En vida?
Pues sí. Silvana Estrada.
Ajá.
La veían el viernes.
Pero, ¿qué?
Sí.
Me confundía en timelines. Pensé que solo me habías mandado que salió en Saturday Night Live.
Ajá, pero la vi el viernes en Talia Hall, te dije.
Ah, eso fue ahorita.
Sí, y te dije, hubiese sabido que a ti te gustaba y te hubiese invitado. La taquilla fue $30. La vi con mami.
No, pues, bueno, me la perdí.
Increíble, sí, Cami. Y por eso te dije, la acabo de ver, te escribí, la acabo de ver.
Yo estaba dormida, me estaba tomando un café mientras me decía eso. No tengo nota.
Increíble los dos, shows.
Sí.
Fue súper cool porque Paul McCartney, hizo ver a alguien de esa estratosfera en un espacio mucho más grande que fue un estadio, con tanta gente de todas épocas tocando música que es vieja, es clásica, ¿no? Rock y pop, y ver cómo conecta con gente de mi edad, con gente más joven, con gente mayor que lo vivió esa época.
Ajá.
Y entonces de alguien tan contemporáneo, tan folk, tan latino,
sí, Silvana es lo máximo,
tan nueva, tan fresca.
¡Qué cool!
A la misma vez casi la vi como con 4 días de diferencia, como que me reforzó eso, el amor que le tengo a la música en vivo y ver shows y bailar en vivo y como que estar ahí.
Bueno, prepárate para oír, porque nos ponemos al cool.
Y pues eso como que me caí en cuenta que ahora voy a un espacio que es aún más íntimo, conocemos al artista, es otro tipo de música, es como, fue perfecto. Y sí, fui a ver a Silvana para el nuevo disco que sacó, que creo que se llama Vendrán Lluvias Suaves, y Paul McCartney, que me enteré que creo que es el último tour que va a hacer, o uno de los últimos, sí,
cool.
Uno empezando un ciclo nuevo y otro como cerrando.
Qué cool, sí, porque Silvana
así de toda la vida.
Dándole.
Sí, fue súper cool. ¿Y tú?
Qué arrecho, nada, yo estoy aquí con uno
debajo
de la escápula aquí al lado izquierdo que me estoy muriendo, pero estamos bien.
Estamos bien. ¿Te acuerdan de esos episodios, verdad? Se hartaron de Bad Bunny hace poco.
Sí, verdad, sí.
Ajá.
O sea, ajá. Yo, preparándome para el 2026, que cuando ya salga esto, ojalá hayan sucedido varias, estamos a medio año. porque grabamos cosas con antelación, porque nos gusta prepararnos y traer que buen contenido.
Contenido de calidad y sustantivo.
Ajá. Pero nada, estoy contenta porque me voy a ver con la familia en diciembre, vamos a ir a un crucero.
No es tu primer crucero, a ti te gustan los cruceros, ¿verdad?
O sea, no es que me gustan, que los busco activamente, pero mi familia siempre, desde que era chiquita, hemos ido como a dos cruceros. Este sería mi tercero.
Qué cool.
Entonces, para estar todos juntos y reunite, porque todos vivimos en diferentes continentes. Entonces, esto va a estar cool.
Ay, sí.
Y después, ¿qué más? Y nada, como que intentando estar positiva en este weather.
Todo tipo de weather.
No, más en el invierno.
Más específicamente
Sí,
el clima.
cuesta el invierno. Pero está feo. Pero en verdad bien, siento que estas cosas de salir y en verdad siento que Chicago se está como que activando muchísimo más y me gusta mucho. Creo que la gente, como lo que dijo el artista que vamos a entrevistar,
Verán.
la gente como que está creyendo más en sí misma y está sacando adelante cosas.
Sí,
Lo
la
cual me
gente
parece
le va.
cool porque me gusta que Chicago también, o sea, para mí siempre ha sido como que mi pregunta es ¿por qué Chicago no es como Los Ángeles o Nueva York? Hay un tema de distribución de dinero obviamente distinto, pero Chicago es súper rico en muchísimas cosas, entonces bueno.
Y tiene mucha historia, y tiene
Sí,
mucha
sí,
gente
sí,
de
sí,
muchos
sí.
lados.
Sí.
Yo creo que sí, somos dichosos de vivir en una ciudad que
Sí, yo también.
ofrece tanto y que a mí lo más que me gusta de Chicago es que es como que recibes más por menos, más acceso, menos elitismo, más actividades, menos exclusividad, como que tú puedes ir al party más rockero, el party más EDM,
Ujú,
a la exhibición de arte más increíble,
ujú.
puedes ir a ver una obra súper vanguardista, puedes ver artistas que están rompiéndola bien cabrón, puedes ver artistas bien famosos de manera más rápida y directa
Sí.
que en otras ciudades como Nueva York o Los Ángeles, donde necesitas tener como que el street cred o
Ah, ¿en
conocer
serio?
a
O sea, yo
alguien
nunca he ido.
o pagar burda plata o como que hay tanto pasando que te lo pierdes, como que esto es un buen balance
Sí.
para the everyman y creo que eso lo hace más interesante porque no es como vamos a ver a este artista hoy y solo van gente que es de la escena y people will feel weird
Sí,
si vas y no eres de la escena. Es como que no,
sí.
cualquiera puede ir porque es allá al lado y no es tan caro y lo promueven entre la comunidad y entre la comunidad más grande. Así que ese sentido de comunidad se siente en Chicago más que en otras ciudades y es una de las cosas que aprecio. So,
Coño.
hay
Me
una
parece.
calzada de amor en Chicago. Y otra cosita
¿Qué?
que oficialmente como estamos fuera de tiempo con ustedes, pero hace una semana terminamos el Season 2 y estuvo
¿Hace una
increíble.
semana o dos?
Hace 2 semanas acabamos la temporada 2 y pues otro triunfo.
Otro triunfo
Poco a poco
más.
escalando. Tuvimos lo de Spotify Rap,
Tuvimos el Spotify Wrapped, aunque todo el mundo ahorita está funando Spotify.
pero los analytics son los que importan, no de quién vienen, ¿ok?
Sí, cónchale, en verdad, gracias a la gente de México, gracias a la gente de Perú, gracias a la gente de Estados Unidos y qué otro país, y de Chile.
Y de
Que
Chile.
eso me sorprendí yo, Chile.
¿Será Martín?
A Martín.
Martín, gracias Martín.
Sí,
Pero sí, muchas gracias.
pero sí, bonito porque las estadísticas como que nos comprobaron que, bueno, al menos a mis ojos, que fue como que, claro, porque el internet es tan grande que es como siento que los
Es
números
como un void y no sabes qué tirar.
y
de
siento
dónde
que los
sale.
números se vuelven demasiado como que no significan nada,
Sí.
pero que te den como que, así como específicos tipo de podcast que salen por primera vez, tuviste 84% más reach y más views que lo normal. Y es como que, ok, eso es un buen indicador, ¿no? De que al menos estamos haciendo algo bien, ¿no? Y que vamos mejorando poco a poco. O sea, como esas cositas así pequeñas, ¿no? Como que,
Claro. Poquito a poquito las cosas se amontonan y después
exacto.
tenemos mejores analíticos.
Y después tenemos un estudio.
Y después ya mismo tenemos nuestro
Y de productora, gracias.
Exacto. Así que pues quería make note of that.
Sí, me encanta. Gracias por traerlo.
Recordar las pequeñas victorias.
Que se acumulan.
Sí,
Que estoy intentando, eso es una cosa importante. Mi nueva mentalidad para el 2026 es que el éxito es continuar.
es verdad. It come, carry on, como decían en los 2010.
Dios mío, pero sí, de verdad creo que es continuar y ya. Y ser perseverante.
Perseverar a pesar de.
Exacto.
Bueno, como dijimos ahorita, este episodio es especial porque ahora estamos dándonos la tarea por lo menos una vez por temporada, ir a un espacio, ver a un artista, verlos en su hábitat natural, entrevistarlo. Y este season está bien duro porque tenemos no solo a una DJ de música electrónica, pero tenemos la persona que compuso el tema de FLÁ.
Sí.
I Miss the Sea, FLÁ version. La increíble Ariel Zetina.
Deje de poner confeti así. Me encanta así.
Llegamos desde antes de que empezamos la temporada, antes de que empezamos la primera temporada,
en el 2004.
tratando de conseguir una manera en que pudiéramos ver a Ariel en vivo, entrevistarla, conocer su historia, verla hacer su performance, verla con su audiencia. Y como ella misma dice en la entrevista, se dio en el perfecto momento porque vamos a ir a una residencia, que es un evento que ella hace.
Y cuidado, me das en la cara.
Ay, perdón, que está catered para, casi para FLÁ.
Sí, en verdad.
Temáticamente, la narrativa, los instrumentos, el grupo de artistas que van a trabajar también en la residencia va a estar bien cabrón.
Sí.
Y pues como siempre tratamos de girar el episodio en torno a algo que no sea solo Ariel o solo el artista. En este vamos a hablar de la música electrónica y vamos a hablar también del concepto de un club como un espacio. Quizás un espacio, lo que se considera como un safe space para ciertas comunidades, un sitio para comunidad, para sentir una experiencia colectiva, lo que eso puede significar emocionalmente, como un colectivo, si puede ayudar a sanar traumas, si es un sitio para teletransportarte o para vivir en el momento, ¿no? ¿Qué piensa Ariel? ¿Qué piensa Ariel? ¿Qué pensamos nosotros acerca de? Como siempre tendemos a hacer, hacemos como un preámbulo de como que qué es el club y por qué la importancia, ¿no? El club no es solo un espacio para bailar, es un territorio que muchos pueden considerar sagrado, donde la comunidad queer o personas de color, personas negras, han encontrado refugio, libertad, expresión. Hemos hablado antes también, espacios como donde se hacían los ballrooms de la comunidad
queer. Sí, de la comunidad queer para el ballroom.
También se puede considerar un tipo de club, ¿no? También el término club puede significar como un colectivo de personas que conectan y tienen algo como un fin en común, ¿no? O propósito, una identidad, ¿no? El ballroom, lo que se consideran los ravers, yo diría en la música electrónica, que yo soy un former raver. Aquí, bien contento, peace, love, unity and respect. ¿Tú sabes hacer el sign?
¿Cuál?
De peace, love, unity and
no.
Yo te enseño. Sidebar.
Ajá.
Ok. Peace.
Peace. No, esto es love,
No.
baby.
Peace.
Peace.
Love. Unity
Unity.
and respect. Ahora la abres, entonces te pasas la pulserita.
Ah, yo nunca tuve pulsera.
Y ese intercambio de pulsera, pues cultura. Ok. Después porque esto me gusta, que la música electrónica me encantaba. No se hace rap, es como, pues tiene que ver a la gente, como que lo dice, como un ritual.
Un ritual. ¿No? Me encantan los rituales.
Anyway. Pues porque estoy tan moti, porque pues...
Intercepción.
Es como
¿Sabes que sabían que cuando yo fui al Ultra en el 2018, en el 2013,
más para atrás,
Edu también fue
en
el mismo Ultra, no nos conocíamos ni sabíamos de nuestra existencia.
Para nada, y estábamos ahí, probablemente yo te rosé y te mamá hueva. Oye, estaba filmando y se metió un codazo o algo. ¿Sabes quién yo vi ahí? A LP Cyclorama.
¿Qué? ¿En serio? ¿Estaba ahí?
Porque esos eran los Vine Days.
Los Vine Days.
Ya estaba ahí.
Ahora está embarazada, Lele.
¿Todavía no ha dado?
No, creo que no. ¿O sí?
Cabrón, el embarazo más largo de ahí. Definitivo, para cuando este episodio salga, ya tiene un año, ¿ves? Anyway, volviendo al tema. Ok, los clubs. En estos espacios la alegría, la resistencia se fusionan, lo que ocurre en la pista de baile se convierte en un acto de visibilidad, de pertenencia y creación colectiva.
Sí.
Para muchos el club es donde la comunidad latente y diversa se siente más viva, donde la historia, la herencia y el futuro convergen en cada ritmo. Y tenemos un artista hoy que es, yo siempre digo, una artista que yo siempre digo, un vivo ejemplo de esto que queremos decir, ¿no? Que no sé cómo más decirlo. Exemplifies lo que es la música electrónica a través de un marco del futurismo latinoamericano. Sí. Lo discutimos, ¿no? Si ella se ve o no en este movimiento, lo que significa para ella, las creencias, de dónde salen las influencias de sus ritmos, el por qué hace la residencia. Pero antes de traer a Ariel para que explique todo por su cuenta, vamos a hacer un mini bio de Ariel.
Ariel Zetina o Ariel Zetina es una artista radicada en Chicago, enfocada en la producción de música electrónica, el DJing y la escritura dramática. Fusiona percusiones, repeticiones vocales y elementos teatrales, tomando inspiración de todo, desde el techno hasta el teatro musical. Su música está inspirada en el Chicago House, la punta beliceña y la escena de clubes queer. Sus varios EPs y sus álbum debut, Cyclorama, recibieron elogios de importantes publicaciones musicales y sus DJ sets han hecho estallar pistas de baile alrededor del mundo. En el 2021 fue destacada por los Grammys como una artista que está transformando la música electrónica. Yo no sabía eso, qué arrecho. Pase lo que pase, siempre incluye una buena dosis de camp en su trabajo. Es DJ residente en el legendario club de house Smartbar.
Que para allá vamos.
Exacto. Y sí, abrió para Beyoncé.
Para la reinona, la Beyoncé.
Así que con ustedes, Ariel Zetina.
Antes de que empecemos, esta entrevista es en inglés. Así que, si me dio tiempo, hay subtítulos. Y si no, aprende inglés con nosotros.
Y ya la IA puede hacer las traducciones en YouTube para el 2026. Así que puedes hacer eso. Gracias, YouTube, por hacer un mundo más inclusivo.
Gracias, YouTube.
And as promised, and as we wanted for a long time, we are here with one of my, kind of favorite DJs in the Chicago scene. Her name is Ariel Zetina, and she's right here.
Hello.
We're here at Smartbar. We're so excited because you have a residency here, right?
Yes, I do.
But before we go into like everything that composes you and like your music and your sets, for the audience and people that don't know who you are, like who's Ariel Zetina?
Yeah. So I'm Ariel Zetina. So I am based in Chicago. I am a DJ, electronic music producer. I'm a writer, and then I have other hats sometimes. I've been performance artist before. I've done a little bit of everything, I think, at one point.
Really?
But yeah, that's I feel like the club is kind of my main space I'm in, and it definitely is what kind of inspires me in my other stuff too. It's a little bit of the club is in everything I do, I think.
That's amazing. So do you have a little round? Okay. So knowing that the club, and it's what like makes you thrive or gets you fired, when was the moment that you were like, okay, I am actually gonna start doing this, being a DJ, mixing? I don't know, how was that story, or how did you land there,
That's actually a great question. I have a specific moment too where I was like, wow. So yeah, this was like maybe 2013, it was like 12, 13, 14, somewhere around there. But I was like, at the time, like I was doing a bunch of theater and kind of like trying to find what I was trying to do in the city. And I like had always like been interested in electronic music and doing it. I'd already been DJing a little bit at that point, and I was kind of just going out, and I had maybe had like 1 or 2 gigs at that point. But I was at the club, and this group, Nguzu, which is this amazing group. They're I feel like their claim to fame is they were on like Kalela's original mixtape that she released, so they're kind of like one of the people that were kind of making that like original sound that she was doing. But it was really specifically seeing the girl, DJ Asmara, that was in it because it's a duo, and just seeing her just completely like overtake this club and have this sort of very totality kind of feeling of like everything was reverbing against everything else, and there was just such a connection. And I think I was like, oh, like this is something I can do seriously, and this is something that could really like affect an entire space. And yeah, so for me it was that, but it was a bunch of little things as well.
And that makes me like curious about so then the reverb, right? Like as a metaphor of I don't know what, but when I hear music, one of the biggest thing I think, and this is why I love electronic music and I love when people just mix and create sounds out of like not nowhere, but it's like capacity to like encapsulate like either a moment in time, or like an emotion, or like a consequence of something, or like tell a story. How do you think that like DJ has allowed you to like express yourself, like in your sets? Or do you use it as a tool to express, also to like, host a room? Like what is that relationship that you have, with like sound and I don't know, people
and time and space. No, exactly.
So
it's a real. I think for me, it's like a lot of what I always try to do is not necessarily, I'm not creating a narrative, but I'm creating. And I don't necessarily want to say a journey because I feel like a journey sometimes feels like we're meandering in a lot of different places. Sure. But the idea that we're going to have, a climax and conflict and drama in the middle of this, and we have something maybe that we are able to follow that's in the music that's not necessarily like, oh, this song going into this song. And obviously a lot of that is left up to the interpretation. And none of my stuff is like, oh, you're trying to feel this into this. But I think for me, that's at least what I feel like my kind of secret power in DJ scenes has been, is kind of taking like my knowledge of just, like narrative arts and time-based arts and just like, like kind of like just working on when you like work on whether it's like a play or like a group project. I don't want to say group project. That's bad connotations, but I think it's like, everyone's trying to drive to do the same thing. And I think when you're DJing, I take a lot of that work and I'm trying to do that with, the group of people that are in the space.
Yeah. And I was going to ask regarding that, like, not the word journey or narrative, but that, like, let's call it a feeling of different emotions, roller coaster of emotions. Is that improvised to an extent, or is that like something you've set before you're set, to be redundant? But is there some play there, or do you have an idea of, okay, this is like the path I want to follow and the story I want to tell? Or is it more like in the moment, what you're feeling?
I definitely live off of the improvisation. I think there's always been moments of that, because even if I prepare something to a T, there's always going to be something that feels different in the situation. I think I'll have very specific ideas sometimes where it's like, oh, this song needs to be in this set, or this song needs to be here somewhere, or these type of two genres need to be in here somewhere. And usually that's based on either what I'm feeling in the moment. It could be like what's on TikTok sometimes. Like it can just be like, oh, if I'm playing a more, if I'm playing a genre party, or if I'm playing a party where it's like, oh, I know this is going to be the vibe that people would be most interested in. I try to cater it while still like trying to be myself. But for the most part, I mean, it's really, I think I learned like very quickly DJing in clubs that like you can tell when someone is like not interested in not being there. And like I think I've kind of learned how, you kind of make sure the space is taken care of and is kind of propulsing forward, because it's like, it's so easy to just go and get a drink and go and get some water.
I was going to ask how much of the audience's participation or emotion as a collective is part of that improvisation. I'm sure you kind of can see if people are like in your euphoric state or kind of like just bumping along, not feeling. Is that part of it?
Oh,
like you look at the crowd and you're like, okay, I need to like spice this up, or is it more internal?
Oh yeah, no, I think especially with American audiences, I would say it's just I think there's this like just this kind of notion that a lot of times when people, especially if I'm like, opening for an artist and not like a DJ, and there's going to be something to watch, like it's this thing where I might be playing and the room is like completely like not giving me anything. And I think even when that's happening, like it's always about working against it. And it's like, how are you actually like addressing the audience and doing it that way, or how are you switching it around? But I think it's always participatory, even when it's very just viewers. I think that's what I really like about being in the club, is it is this kind of art form where it's like you really do need like a group of people or a group of you know, it has to happen publicly. And like, you know, as much as people talk about like phones on the dance floor, I'm like, also like a lot of the people I know are like not necessarily on their phones on the dance floor. There's a mixture of it, and it kind of depends.
Would you, I think I'm really drawn to like what you said about like writing, improv, theater. So I guess my brain immediately went to like, oh my God, you have like this interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary mindset, you know? And I wonder if that also has given you like a different edge when you go into rooms, you know, and try to like curate or design like what's happening. Do you use like, I don't know, does it cross your mind, or it's just already there so settled that you're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, you know? Like, how do you use other disciplines?
I mean, I feel like I use it all the time, which is funny. And it was so funny. Like I was like, you know, like these things are so different at first when I first started, but I think it's all the same process. I mean, it's like, I think it's a lot of, you know, I feel like a lot of editing kind of work goes into it, and like that kind of part of writing. I feel like because theater kind of mixes a bunch of different art forms together, like I've dipped my toes in a lot of different stuff, and just, you know, I'm not necessarily, you know, I think a lot of people are not necessarily trying to be like I feel like I will tend to know what like hits as camp or hits as satire, or like it will be able to work in this moment, because it's like, yeah, like a Britney Spears track is not always going to work in the moment, but if there's a way to do it, or that, like, I even think about like the one gig where I played like a Defying Gravity remix that they like released after the show came out, that's like a fucking like Idina Menzel having different riffs, and I was like, this is the only time I can play this, but like it has to be in this moment. And so I think like that for me is definitely what I take from theater. I think a lot of what I studied in school was performance studies, and like the concept of everything as performance. And I think a lot of that work I really kind of see, where it's like, you know, a DJ is a performer at the end of the day, and not necessarily like, I feel like performer, when we hear it, it's like but I'm always like, perform is just like to do something, and it's like, you know, it's very just like to do something, and we're just interested in each other kind of like doing something. So it's all, you know, dancers or performers. I could go on.
I think we're all on the same path, on the same lane there, mindset in terms of performance. I think everything's a performance. I think performance is basically you live your life, but you're aware of what you're doing. I think people live like their day-to-day not aware of their surroundings or their actions. I think performance is knowing I'm doing this with this intention, and this is what I want to get out of it. I'm going to make this decision and that decision, which is basically what you're saying about DJing, right? Yeah. Improvising with what you're feeling, who your audience is, which is amazing. How does your life influences and your identity and like the things that you've grown up with affect that? Now we know that like theater, but is there something like from your childhood or from you when you were a teen or through your life that you're like grabbing onto when you're performing and doing the sets?
Absolutely. I mean, I think I try to embrace a lot of the different kind of musical backgrounds I come from. So like, you know, even my mom is from Belize, and so I grew up with a lot of, you know, it's mostly from soca, even though soca isn't necessarily only Belizean, but you know, it's many different countries doing soca. But you know, all of the punta and the soca and the brok down there all have this, you know, fast syncopated percussion, and it kind of like was taking me years to kind of realize. I was like, oh, I'm kind of making stuff all at the same tempo as this, and then it really like affects me. I have some sets where I like have done only Belizean music, so that's definitely a big thing, but it's really that really helps me click. And I think no matter what I like make or what I'm kind of like DJing, this sort of this polyrhythmic drumming that always is happening is really important to me, and kind of making it feel like a total whole. So I think that's really big. I think also being from Florida also influences me a lot. I'm from Florida, unfortunately. And I'm from Jacksonville, so I'm from like, you know, North Florida. So like, you know, I'm like, I grew up with country. I grew up with like emo hitting really big. Like, I just feel like I come from a lot of different kinds of stuff. And there's definitely some, you know, a lot of people do way more cross genre than I do, because there's definitely like some genres I do and some I like don't know as much. But I think, you know, for part of me, it's like I really love the idea of these different kinds of club styles that kind of exist in different spaces. So like I think it's so common in Latin America that there's so many different like genres and styles, and they're really based on place and time and all of these. And I think it's like I just love kind of like following little enclaves of that in the world. Like I think of like, you know, like Baltimore Club and Jersey Club, and then like Vogue, and then like Chicago House, and all of these are not just genres, they're based on like a time and place. And yeah, and I think something you said was talking about futurism and like also like exploring the past. And I think there's this thing about, you know, we're sampling things from the past, and also I'm playing a lot of tracks that are like from like the 70s and 80s that sound like they were made like in 2025 or like vice versa. And like I always think that's really cool. It's like you never know where something's coming from, kind of.
Yeah, and that's what so I know of you because of Erin Kilmurray, right? You have worked with, you know, them big time, me too. And then when I was like, oh, okay, Erin's working with the DJ, I immediately, you know, went to your Spotify and listened to Organism and then all the other ones. And I was like, what? I was like, I'm a lover of music, you know, and like rhythm too. So I could feel what you're saying makes sense to me, because I was like so seduced. That's a new word that I'm using this week.
Nice,
I would say I was so seduced by like the atmospheric space that you create with like the reverb or whatever you use. I don't know, you know? And also then like you will like insert some like very, I'm going to say this, like natural rhythms, or like that I feel that you grab an instrument and do it. And then like you would like change it into something like more electronic per se. And I was like, oh my God, this is so like fluid and like malleable, you know? And I felt that I was able to like kind of mini travel to like different spaces, you know? And I wonder if like DJing and making music and mixing has like allowed you to explore your identity more, and has become a way to also like assert yourself, or like become the person who you want to be through your art, you know? Or like how does that, you know? Yeah.
I mean, I think I think that's what is really a lot of people turn to at DJing. It's like, you know, it's so funny. It's like, I feel like it's sort of in TikTok world now, and so many DJs are like performers. And I feel like that wasn't necessarily true when I started. Like to some extent it was, but it was a lot of like, you know, shy people who are showing this really micro specific interest and like kind of doing it. And so I definitely do feel like it's allowed me to kind of like express myself and do kind of things I wouldn't normally do, and just like step into being a performer and doing it. I think that's it took me a long time to kind of figure out like what my place in that was like. And I think, you know, for better or for worse, there is this sense of performing that's in it that that really, you know, affects me. And I also think a lot about how, you know, I didn't necessarily like transition right when I was starting to DJ, but they were kind of in tandem with each other. And I think it's kind of this thing of like, oh, I'm going to like step into myself both artistically and, you know, just like be able to do what you want to do. I've seen it happen with a lot of different like artists and stuff when it's in tandem with that kind of thing, and it really opens up someone's thing. So it's my favorite.
It's interesting that you say that how your transition and like your career as a DJ kind of like meshed together, and how that maybe became not a vessel, but like a way to express your identity or help you get to A from A to B, let's say. We actually spoke about that in one of our first episodes with Arca, being one of the people that like used her covers and the music and the narrative she created in her albums to slowly, maybe not come out to her audience, but work internally how to present her identity, maybe with these otherworldly, a little bit more grotesque figures, and slowly start presenting her as herself. Do you do that in any way with like as a whole, like with your lighting, with your covers, with your lyrics? Is that something that you've been doing through your career and your transition, like working in tandem and somehow?
You know, I think it's yes, to some extent. I think it's definitely, I am very much kind of like, I think it's also being trans, being, you know, having all of the intersections on top of each other. It's like so many of my different identities are commodifiable. So it's this idea in this sort of like very public music world where it's like, oh, like, how am I going to step in control of my image and do it? So I definitely tend to have pretty like strong ideas of what I want my image to be and what I want my sort of like what's going on to be. But I think in terms of like, I'm also a fan of like, I'm very like, the only time I ever will use like crazy filters or crazy kind of stuff is in like an art cover content, kind of moment. And so it does feel like kind of like the moment to play. I think that's also lyrically a lot of what I do in my songs. It's, you know, I am going into this pseudo character of kind of doing stuff. Like, I think that's what a lot about my show tonight, I think, is going to be. It's like kind of the stepping in vocally into these different kind of like personas that are in my music and like based on stuff. But, you know, it's really sort of like Ariel the DJ and then Ariel the performer. And this is a unique set tonight because I'm doing, it's, you know, it's a little more planned than it usually is, but it's, you know, this is going to be like where it's all my music and all my stuff. And it has sort of, I wanted to have the same narrative energy, or not narrative energy, but the same, like rolling forward, like you can't wait to see what happens next kind of energy. But, you know, I'm just going to be on the mic with vocals, so it's going to be a little different.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna be on vocals tonight, and I did like a live show in May that was kind of a big theatrical number, and I feel like almost I don't want to say this is the unplugged version because it's almost like more replugged in, but it's like we're just doing some songs from that, some new songs, like in a very DJ behind the booth, but suddenly I have a mic energy. Is that
very exciting?
That's very exciting.
And with a few surprises. So,
I
know, exactly.
I have another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So speaking of this event that we're at today,
mm-hmm.
you have these residencies here at Smartbar,
mm-hmm.
which thank you Smartbar for letting us support here. Amazing.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little about them?
Yeah.
What people do you bring in? Are there themes? How long have you been doing it?
So I started working here, I think in maybe 2016 or 17, and then I started this residency in 2018, and this was always kind of, originally I felt like I was kind of the party that was doing kind of what I was talking about of like different club styles and different sort of like maybe more experimental dance music, more kind of that was kind of the basis of the parties originally. And then it's kind of turned into like, you know, a mixture of like just people that I think are really doing the kind of work that I'm doing in like sort of in like either they're organizing and they're DJing, or they're DJing and they're also producing music. They're coming to the practice in sort of a different way. And I think a lot of times that does mean it's like crazy music, but you know, it can change genre like so much. Like I've had techno nights, I've had like super ambient nights. Like this one is kind of musically has like, you know, we have like a little bit of reggaeton, we have a little bit of synth pop, we have a little bit of
we're ready.
It's gonna be sick.
So
I think you all really, if y'all stick around for the whole night, I think it's gonna be some cute stuff because people are doing really cool stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we're ready. We're like,
this girl Paranoid and Agua de Rosas. Do you know her? This girl. Okay, I need to after we cut. I need to show you the video of her. And you're gonna be like, this girl's client. Like, she's so good. Yeah. I don't know if that answered your question.
No.
Yeah.
Did this come organically? Did you pitch it to them?
And, you know, it actually came pretty organically. I originally worked here because they needed someone to open for a Jersey club DJ, and I was kind of the intersection between like house and techno and like sort of these other styles. And so that ended up being, and then it just kind of one thing led to another. It was very organic in a way, and I've been working here for a long time ever since, and it's cool. It's like it's nice to curate something while also having, you know, it's curating is such a funny mixture of things of like art, but also like how do you know what's going to sell? How do you not you know, minimizing it's that, but you know, it's been interesting to see kind of just all kinds of stuff and have DJs from all over.
That's awesome, and that makes me think of like so you're talking about like all these different, let's go, styles, you know, and like mixing and everything. How do you define, is there a word of like the sounds that you do, or you are really like eclectic and like that's, you know, you're kind of, because I'm intrigued about when you opened here for the first time and you were like an in-between techno and something else that you said?
Oh, in Jersey Club, yeah,
in Jersey Club. So like how do you describe it a certain way? You know, like I don't know this about the DJ world. Like, oh wow, maybe it's like in dance that you have all different styles and like sometimes there's fusion but not, you know?
It's so giving that, because it's like, then it's like kind of like where somebody will place you, or what kind of stuff you're giving. So I usually, in like my short thing, when people will like talk to me, I'll be like, I play house and techno is like what I'll kind of do. I think my longer answer is I always really like club music as like the thing that is doing that, because I think that sort of really references the kind of like the kick drum pattern that you'll mostly see in like Vogue, or like a lot of these, like a sort of we're not getting a 4 on the floor like house and techno, we're getting some sort of variation in the beat. But you know, that's that. I think it's also like a very like, I play a little bit of everything. I think like in my even longer one, it's sort of, to me, it's like house, techno, club, Belizean dance styles, Vogue, and other sort of queer musical theaters in there a lot.
That's cool.
Yeah, but and then I think there's sometimes this thing that happens in the DJ world where it's like, you know, there's one room for house and it's like fun and nice, and then there's one room for techno and it's like dark and and I very much live in both worlds. I think because I play so eclectically, people will put me into this house kind of world, and I can play a full house set. It's great, but I think that's I tend to be put in that, but I'm always trying to challenge where people put me, which is hard, easy and hard. It makes my life easier and harder. So
go ahead.
So this all ties together. This idea of being like, not necessarily forced, but like being pigeonholed into maybe just house because of how you diversify your genres and your genre bender, let's call it. How does that fit into, because I know you travel all over. How does that fit into when you go to a new space, or when you go to a new club, or when you meet new promoters? Like, how does that exchange come to be? Do they just see what they see online? Do they see your mixes and then you decide, I want to do house, I want to do this? Are you do they see you as like a niche performer and you're like, oh, you're perfect for this kind of space?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mixture. It's definitely always a because I feel like, especially when I'm traveling to Europe, I will, you know, it's, even if I get offered, you know, 1 or 2 gigs, I'll have to end up kind of making a tour out of it together. So it does involve, it's like a mixture of like pitching myself to places and then also having what I have. I think most of the time when people book specifically me, they have usually a pretty good idea of what I'm going to bring. And I really try to do the research for the party of what's going to be there. But in a lot of ways, I think that's what's hard about DJing and booking DJs is you have to be really malleable and adaptable. And then some people are also like, fuck that, I don't have to be adaptable. You'll just book me for this, and are very successful in that way. I feel like for me, it's like, I think the reason that people will book me is because I'll read the brief, but I'll also be able to sort of do what I do myself. I'm not gonna interpret it myself. Yeah.
Which is, I believe, is part of the art there. It's like that play, like, what's the brief, how I'm gonna frame it in my own way, as opposed to like, fuck you, I'm gonna do this my way and just get me, or fuck off. Like that has its space, but I don't think maybe with the audience or how you're trying to navigate this space that it works.
Like no one's gonna be interested in like, you know, like 170 BPM hard techno and like a sunny, well, and I say that with a grain of salt because I've definitely seen that happen. You know, where it's like, you know, but it's time and place. It's like, we're not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna play like the most obvious like Britney edit at like the most like underground thing. If I do some sort of pop thing, it's gonna be like the craziest shit they've ever heard kind of thing. And not saying that it might not be Britney, but it probably won't. You know, it'll be.
And in that realm, like, I wonder if when you are, you know, thinking about your set or designing or even an album, how does merging the past and the future, you know, how does like memory and history play, you know, in your making, in your creating, and like,
I think it plays a huge part of my role. Like, I first started as a producer before I was DJing, and then I think was kind of more focusing on DJing, and then when I kind of went back to like producing my first thing after that, I was like, oh, I'm kind of taking so many cues that I know work in the club in order to put this into this kind of new kind of putting it into like a track form or like a song form. And I think that a lot of my music has also come from performances, and I'll try something out at the club, it'll maybe work, we'll do it again. One of the tracks that I'm doing tonight is like that, where it's kind of like we see what works in the club and we see what energy works, and then kind of using that specific memory and like kind of getting that energy into the track is pretty important to me. Because I feel like that's how you get the kind of liveness in the track. So, I mean, it definitely comes a lot for me. I think I'm also referencing a bunch of stuff. It depends what I'm working on, but I've like sampled a little bit of everything. I've sampled everything from like pop music to like musicals to like, you know, random people talk, like, you know, it's everything. And it's so like even bringing like a little bit of that. I remember actually, this is a little off topic, but I think it connects. I remember watching this YouTube video, because I love a YouTube video, and it's like, the secret to Billie Eilish's music. And I was like, what is the secret? And they're like, when she talks about like fire, it's made out of match noises and lighters. And they're like, when she's talking about horror, it's made out of creepy sounds. And I was like, oh, like that's the secret. Like, that's not, I don't know. I think you have to be able to reference stuff and kind of like, you know, you know, create this kind of world. I don't know. I really like putting like cartoon noises and things and like really taking people out of it for a second and like having to have people like kind of reconfigure what their sort of idea like of what is playing.
That's cool, because I think that brings people to the present moment.
Yeah. And a lot of people hate that. A lot of people hate when they can like be brought back to the present moment. They're like, I want to stay in this world. I'm like, no, it's like also about like facing the real world, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah,
because we're inundated with music all the time. Like, we're hearing music everywhere we go, and it's like,
and then in that, now I'm going into like the making of, when you decide, okay, I want to use this sound or I want to break this pattern, are there rules you follow? Like, if you're using instruments or rhythms from Belize, for example, are you like, I'm going to keep these intact? Or are you like, let me see how I can fuck with these and use some other instrument or noise that sounds like it and use that as the pattern to replace that instrument? Do you do that? Or are you like, I'm using this as is because it's like tied to my identity? Is there anything at play like that there?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think that what I think about a lot is like, oh, like, for example, like what does like a house music song sound like if it's made from like the instruments of like Belizean punta, for example, or like what's the opposite of that? And I think there's kind of like, oh, like, you know, I've had like, I think like a clave beat is such like a common thing that I have in it, and I think I've like made clave beats from like the most like, you know, wooden ass thing, and then from the most like metallic ass thing, and I think it's sort of like translating the like, if you know type beats in order. But I think there's a lot of opportunity with just like using the structure of something else with like the building blocks of something else and doing that. So I feel like for me that's where it shows up the most, and I think I tend to kind of like gravitate towards a lot of music that like kind of feels like that. Like, not to talk about Kalela again, but I think about like her and like the Rochelle Jordan album that came out this year that's like kind of this R&B but is made from like sounds from the club, and I feel like that's part of why it's so successful, is like kind of rethinking it. Yeah, this Rochelle Jordan album that came out this year is so good. That was my like most listened to. I think it was like 3 or 4 albums that I listened to a lot, but that was there.
And I'm gonna add as a personal reflection that when I heard that song that's called Puta Maria, I heard that one and I was like, wow, like there was something in me that it was so affirming. Like, these are the things that I love when I see art or listen or whatever, and I cannot explain it verbally, you know, because I was like, there is something about this track that is helping me like release a lot of things, like what you said about trauma on the dance floor, or, you know, in your body. And it's like, and I don't know, you're merging those two words together, Puta Maria specifically, to have like, you know, big connotations, like culturally, religiously, you know, and like they're kind of at odds, and the beat is so hard, you have to listen to it. It was so liberating, and like every time I hear that beat, I'm like, right. Ariel is right. Like,
I'm always trying to chase the moment of that song, and actually me and Morena X, who did it together, a lot of those samples are like recorded in Puerto Rico, like when he's visiting family, and like it's like the gate of his grandma's house and like all of this stuff, and like, and he grew up there, so it's like, you know, it's like very, but the Puta Maria originally comes from, it was because of Hurricane Maria, and his aunt kept referring to the hurricane as Puta Maria. But you know, obviously it's so much about other stuff. It's like, I think there was like a blurb that it was about like catcalling, and it's about like virgin whore, and it's about all these different things, and it's also like putaria and like just you know, it's taking us to not just that, you know. But I love the little quip of the, I think the sort of sassiness comes from that of like, you know, calling this hurricane just like a fucking whore, like, but not even just a like how like it's like puta madre, like she is brilliant for putting those together. You know what I mean?
That's why I was like, whoa, this is
so cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, there's a whole. It's like this is probably the first time I've talked about it live.
Really?
But besides like in like a So again, I know.
Okay, now exclusive. We're gonna do a clickbait, the secret of it.
Yes, exactly.
I have other exclusives that I want to get. Maybe they're not exclusive. I haven't seen other interviews, but I wanted to do like a rapid, just your thoughts on certain things.
Oh yeah, totally.
I know you've been all over. What's your favorite city to play in?
Oh my god,
and your favorite club?
That's so hard. Okay.
Or top 3.
Okay, that's great. Because I was like, the first one that came to mind was Mexico City. Is always the best thing. I love Mexico City always. Lisbon has been always really amazing. Lisbon, the producers, they're making crazy stuff, and everyone's like really down for anything. And my third. Okay, this is actually the one that I've been to twice now, but Ljubljana, Slovenia is so cool. I've been to, it's sometimes I think these small, actually the best place I played in the US recently was Salt Lake City as well. I played Salt Lake City for an underground like rave pride thing. It was amazing. Yeah. But that was, I don't know, it's always unexpected places. But those are my things that come to.
Is it the pent up religious folk up there?
I
figured.
And it's like, you know, it's growing up with that, and then like who's releasing. It's all of the queer people from that area all come to Salt Lake, I feel like, in the same way that people do to other cities, you know. So.
And what about those 3 places that you mentioned? Was it the people? Was it the space? Was it the?
It's everything. I think it's the music, the people, the sort of the chill, kind of like the non-pretension. Yeah, a lot of stuff. Yeah.
And I know that you've played all sorts of sizes of crowds.
Yes,
I know that you were an opener for Beyonce.
Yes.
I just found out.
I was like totally expected of it.
No, that was the craziest experience. Yeah.
But before we go into that, what's your preferred size?
I think I like a maybe 300 max sort of room. That's I think really that's like crowded the whole time in that movement. That's really nice. And then I think like sort of like on the flip side of that, like sort of a 1,000, 2,000 kind of thing where it's a lot of people, but it's like a doable space. I think, when it's bigger than that, it's very surreal, and it feels more like, it feels like a different thing. It feels like you sort of have to perform even more because you're performing for more people. You're trying to talk to more people.
So many eyes. How many people were at that Beyonce? Was it Soldier Field?
It was Soldier Field. Yeah. I don't know how many people were there when during. Yeah. No, I was like, well, I don't know who was there. Like, it was basically whoever was there for my set, and it was definitely more crowded than when Beyonce actually got there. But yeah, it was crazy. That was a very wild experience. And
was that the biggest space you've done? What's the biggest?
I think so. I think that has to be the biggest space. Yeah. There's been other shows where I've been like, holy shit, this is massive. But I think that was probably the biggest. Yeah.
Wow.
Do you have a dream place to perform?
Oh my God.
Or show or festival or
there's so many on my list. That's the thing. There's this really amazing festival, Drijmolen in Netherlands, that I've been really wanting to do. I've been trying to make it happen slowly but surely, and it's going to happen soon, I think. But do an Asia tour, I really want to do. Wow. There's just a lot of spaces where I just feel like, you know, certain parts of the world. I haven't been to South America yet, so like it's mostly kind of going to places I've not been before, and just kind of like, you know, it's just cool. I really like my job because I also get to meet people from the country every time I'm in a country, and I'm rarely in somewhere where I like don't have someone that's like, you know, and I'm very curious about things. Like when I was in Brussels, and I was asking everyone about everything about Brussels because I'm like, it's a bunch of like queer DJs. I'll ask them about all these things, you know. So,
and then you said no, you haven't played in South America. Have you played in Belize?
So I haven't yet. It's actually in the works. I've been in touch with like people. It's kind of like when I can make it happen and stuff. But yeah, I've been talking to people about trying to make it happen. There's some like amazing people in Belize that are doing it. So that's another huge goal. So yeah.
Okay. Well, we are seeing the future.
Exactly.
That's all going to happen. I don't know if there's anything else you want to ask or add.
it's been such a fulfilling conversation.
No, this has been amazing.
And also like to know that it's like you know the challenges, but you keep moving forward.
I try to. Yeah,
we all try to, but also it's like the way you talk about it. Like, yeah, I've been in content. Like, I feel you have agency about like what you want to do, how you want to present yourself, how you want to curate this. So that is very, I believe, empowering. Because in a way you're like writing your own story, and that's inspiring for me. Like, oh my God, that's amazing that it's like. All the efforts that you put are seen and felt in many different ways, so.
Thank you. I try to kind of honor all the stuff I want to do and really try to push myself to like kind of do new stuff. So
yeah,
I try.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's full circle because thank you so much for lending us or gifting us one of your songs.
Oh my gosh, yes. No, I love
full circle. That was very nice of you and we're very thankful because before we even had the first episode, we felt like it legitimized us in a way.
Oh my God.
Someone of your caliber and someone so out there and incredible at your craft to just have it be synonymous with FLÁ Podcast. So thank you.
No, thank you. I'm such a podcast girly too, so I love, like, I'm like, yes, like, that is, yeah.
So thank you so much. Is there anything you want to plug? I don't know when this is coming out, but if you have anything for like summer 2020,
so probably
or the residency, if you have other residencies you want to plug for people.
I think by this time when it comes out in 2026, I hopefully will have announced an EP that's coming out. So there'll be a new Ariel Zetina EP. I think that's all I can announce right now. But that is existing. That is what I can safely say. Yeah.
And if it's not out by when this episode's out, this will be cut.
Oh no, but it will be. It will be still in the works.
Okay,
when,
so keep your eye
if
out.
It's not out, it will be out because
keep your
it
eye
better
out.
be out. Yeah. I was like, I'm way behind. Yeah, exactly.
So keep an eye out. Follow her on socials. What's your social?
Ariel Zetina, Ariel Zetina on basically everything. Everywhere you stream and etc.
Yeah.
And you're streaming everywhere.
So I think the best place is Bandcamp. That's always where I end up going. And I'm also a huge. I think everything is on YouTube. Like, YouTube is an amazing place, but Bandcamp is where, like, if you buy my music, I will get the biggest cut of it. I've seen.
So we'll put the Bandcamp link below.
Exactly.
Go there, buy the music, listen to them.
Yeah, that's the best place to go, I would say.
Do you have a Venmo? Do you do that?
Yeah, just Ariel Zetina. My name as well. Yeah.
Tip the girl.
Exactly. I grew up with drag queens, so I
that's
a chip moment. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ariel. This was amazing.
Thank you so much.
You guys are going to see a little bit of the show, some B-roll, see the space, and then we'll see you on the other side.
I know. We're excited to dance and move.
Yes.
Oh. Thank you. We're doing all live tonight. I'm doing a very rare live set in Chicago, so thank you so much for being here. I'm Ariel Zetina.
Welcome to my channel. 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 Face, mascara, erase. I wanna look good for you.
¿Eres actor y quieres darle un empujón a tu carrera sin que te cueste un ojo de la cara? Chicago Demo Reel Productions es la solución. Si necesitas self-tapes, demo reels, grabaciones de voz, edición y hasta producción de contenido, ellos son el equipo que tú necesitas. Ya seas un actor amateur o con mucha experiencia, tu billetera te lo agradecerá. Porque ¿en dónde más podrás encontrar un estudio en donde tú te sientas como el director de tu propia película? Sus costos accesibles te ayudarán a crear un portafolio profesional que elevará tu carrera al siguiente nivel. Así que no lo pienses más y visita chicagodemoreel.com. Es hora de brillar. Bueno, mi gente, acaban de ver un showzazo de lo que pudieron ver, porque ese humo en ese grupo estuvo de pinga.
Smartbar, te amamos, pero de verdad que había tanto humo que no podíamos ver a más de una distancia en nuestro brazo, sí. O sea...
Eso me delata nuestra edad. Yo como pienso, yo quería vomitar allí con ese humo.
Bueno, sí, es casi
sí. Yo no imagínate con 20 años, como que... Y yo como que...
Pero yo nunca he visto tanto humo, o sea, yo no me acuerdo de eso, sí.
Yo creo que están viejitos ya.
No sé, yo
creo que se pasaron. Yo sé que es una...
Yo creo que sí se pasaron, o sea, yo creo que ya era como que todo se veía blanco y yo que, pero tú quieres que uno pisa más allá. Amigo, este clip está brutal, pero...
Esto parece un simulacro de una guerra. Entonces...
Sí, yo no sé si era porque no había tanta gente, entonces querían como llenar el espacio.
Maybe.
Y como que para que se sintiera como, what? Cuando estás ahí en la nota, pero nosotros estábamos en la nota, estábamos trabajando.
Sí, es que cuando estás en work mode, que todo...
Sí, espero que les haya gustado. Bueno, la entrevista con Ariel fue brutal.
Increíble.
Que Ariel es
otro nivel.
Y como tú decías, como que sabe cómo hablar de lo que hace, que eso es como bien raro, pero sabiendo que ella viene como un background teatral también, siento que tienen mucho vocablo.
Sí, no, y te lo puedo decir en
todo lo que hace, o sea, súper... Que eso se nota cuando trabajas con ella. Yo he trabajado con ella personalmente y es como súper, súper clara y como que entiende los contextos en los que está y cómo se puede mover y qué contexto necesita qué, lo cual es súper cool porque también demuestra que es culta en como que existen diferentes ambientes, diferentes cosas y como que el DJ como que tiene que entender eso para que en verdad el set sea bueno. ¿No?
No, sí, me encantó también la parte en la que estábamos hablando de como la manera en que la improvisación también es importante para mí cuando crea, que yo pienso que me había un misconception o malentendimiento de lo que es ser DJ. Para mí es como crear canciones y basically, no necesariamente let them play, pero maybe la improvisación viene de cómo trabajas con la audiencia, pero nunca había pensado de un set de DJ como creando una narrativa dentro del set.
Así que eso fue lo que vimos. Tienes razón, se me olvidó esa parte.
Que es como, no es solo música por tocar música y sería un tema.
Pero creo un performance.
Es un performance y una narrativa en cómo las canciones suben y bajan, el tempo sube y baja, y los elementos que ella utiliza como samples o las repeticiones que hace, los chants que hace, como que tiene todo este teatro que va a su experiencia, su background.
Que fue lo que ella dijo, como que van a ver al final como ella performance. Y lo que hablamos es que no es que ella tenía, cuando ella dice como que improvisar en un set, de ver, o sea, como que cuando ella decía en vivo, es que no es que ya tenía como antes, que uno tiene como unos pre-records y moves y vaina y los vas mezclando en vivo también, pero ahorita es como que ella agarra el micrófono y decía como que why are you so obsessed with me, y le cambiaba como que o el reverb o otras cosas. Yo solo sé si reverb porque no sé nada de eso, y después los integraba dentro de esto y como que por ejemplo tuvo a una drag queen que entraba y también improvisaba sobre lo que ella acababa de decir. Entonces sí era como una improvisación instantánea con un DJ set. Yo nunca había visto eso tampoco. Y me pareció súper cool. Y dijo, va a ser full experimental, lo cual fue como que se notaba que estaban ahí dándole la vaina y la gente como que wow, como que se sentía como que súper fresh.
Sí, se sentía como que la gente que estaba allí estaban viendo la creación en real time, algo que era efímero. Es súper
efímero.
O sea, que esto es para ahora. Yo no voy a escuchar esto en SoundCloud.
Exacto.
No voy a escuchar esto cuando salga un álbum. Yo no voy a escuchar esto en otro set, en otro lugar. Es como que lo que Ariel siente ahora, lo que quiero decir con esta temática es
como,
live with it, talk with it, y si no, no lo vas a...
Exacto, sí, es como que lo que ven en el momento, lo cual es súper cool, y como trabaja la audiencia, que también es como que le agrega otro layer al concepto que yo tenía de ser DJ, que yo pensaba que era solamente, obviamente tienen una gran responsabilidad, en verdad, como que tú sabes cuando un set es chimbo. O sea, la gente lo siente, es como que este bicho o la bicha está desconectada de lo que está pasando aquí, como que no ha entendido los cues a lo que reacciona la gente, pero también como más allá de como que, la gente está aquí para ver al DJ. Que eso lo experimentamos en Ultra, ¿no? Que la gente en Ultra va a experimentar lo que el DJ tiene, pero esto fue más como que introdujo un level de performance en donde tú estás ahí para ver cómo te sorprende el DJ, más allá de los tune beats. Exacto. Pero de la narrativa, ¿no?
Sí, y creo que
¿qué te da?
Hay una dualidad entre low stakes y high stakes, porque, por ejemplo, si el marco de referencia de Ultra, donde el Ultra, el festival, el Ultra Music Festival, creo que todavía lo hacen anualmente, se llame. Nosotros coincidentalmente fuimos.
Y no nos conocíamos. Pero fuimos el mismo año.
Ajá. ¿Tú estabas en Perú ya? ¿O tú estabas acá?
No, yo estaba en Venezuela.
Tú estabas en Venezuela. Tú viniste de Venezuela para allá y viniste a Puerto Rico para allá.
Sí, con mis amigas.
Anyway, cuando estás en un gran medida de expectativa es como que, este DJ de tal calibre, que hace con todo el mundo, que tiene todos estos hit singles, me va a dar una experiencia. Hay que esperar a escuchar algunas canciones, la vibra va a ser X, pero aquí y debe haber un low stake de expectativa de que va a ir mal, ¿no? Pues siempre puede cagarla un DJ.
Y tú estás hablando, claro, sí.
Aquí hay un low stake de la expectativa, pero el high stake es de Ariel, qué tipo de performance voy a hacer ahí. Pero como es tan improvisacional, es low stake porque todos esperamos algo, pero no tenemos como con high expectation. Es como el llévanos en el viaje de lo que tú quieres presentar. Exacto, como que te cambia la percepción de lo que es el espacio en el que estás, que es lo que habíamos hablado, de como que el club como un sitio para comunidad, pero me gusta esta idea de como el club como un lugar para experimentar.
Ya,
artísticamente,
sí.
Donde es como que,
porque
no querías meter el fog hasta el coño, pero Mary sí, porque ¿cómo va a ser ese overload de fog donde ahora se ve y te drena y estás como en un estado de limbo, sí, donde no ves nada y escuchas la repetición de Ariel diciéndote cosas como que maybe funciona, maybe no, pero maybe eso es parte del juego.
Pero hay como que sí, y lo que tú dices es como que hay un low stake de lo que va a ser la experiencia, lo cual otorga que la gente se abra más.
Exacto.
Which is cool. Pero hay un super high stake para los performers, porque ahí es donde tú puedes ver que como que ellos testean y nosotros vemos cómo ellos en vivo, si es que tienen las herramientas o no para continuar la narrativa. Es como que cuando tú vas a ver stand-up comedy,
exacto,
y tú vas a ver como que si yo creo que es lo mismo.
O como un jazz performer.
Exacto.
Y el que está ahí,
El jazz performer es bueno porque puede improvisar a lo que pasa en el momento, porque ya tiene muchísimo marco de referencia y ya es una pulada de mierda, sí. Y como que los que están ahí, tanto el MC como el músico, como la vaina, ¿sabes? ¿No? Como que se testean si en verdad tienen esa capacidad de reaccionar en el momento y entender su craft a otro level, ¿sabes? ¿No? Como que es lo cool que cuando se montó esta drag queen que era Triple Gemini o like Super Gemini, whatever, que me encantó, es como que ella, como que tú veas cómo ella estaba pendiente de lo que Ariel había dicho antes para ella continuarlo, o cómo el beat informaba también qué tan fuerte ella decía como que sus líricas o lo que estaba diciendo, ¿no? Como que fue súper cool en verdad.
Súper cool, y me encantó el hecho de que los elementos que habíamos hablado de la punta de release, o todos los elementos que ella sí les nutre, están, pero no son como que esto está en el front de todo lo que hago. Like, es como pizcas, es como está utilizándolo como si estuviera pintando una pintura de acuarela o de pastels, donde la esencia del material está ahí, pero está como creando algo más allá de, ¿no? Es como que lo más puro, pero en verdad está como que just highlighted. Está como...
Claro, está como que definido por eso completamente, which is super nice.
Pero cuando lo reconoces, lo ves y es como que era como ella dice, que es como unos jueguitos así en the background que me veo reconocer, me veo no, porque
claro,
suenas tanto.
Y un testamento a la pluralidad que ella tiene de sonidos, ¿no?
Exacto, sí. Que también va lo well-rounded, well-traveled, lo knowledgeable que es, que puede...
Claro, pero tú la escuchas y sabes que es Ariel.
Ajá.
Like, Conoce en donde tenga su música, vas a ver que hay algo bien distintivo, que es lo que ella nos comentó, que es como que esos ritmos de Belize, que no me acuerdo cómo se llamaban, en verdad están como detrás de muchas de las cosas que yo hago, o me diré detrás,
¿verdad? Y me vi de los arreglos, me vi de como los ritmos, el beat o el BPM o el ADN de ese género está ahí. And it's really cool.
Pero no es inherentemente eso, porque la hace como demasiado ecléctica.
Exacto, yo creo que yo mencioné esto en la entrevista, como que está expandiendo los horizontes y las posibilidades de lo que puede ser trabajar con ese género, y como esa experimentación enaltece y nutre a ese género tradicional y ayuda a que, volviendo a traer en el FLÁ, le da como otros propósitos, otras utilidades para que se preserve. Es como cuando hablamos de Bad Bunny, el incorporar la salsa en esa así como que los trovadores o los pleneros, y decir, se puede crear algo más allá de lo que es tradicional para que una audiencia nueva o una audiencia contemporánea de Belice, maybe, lo aprecie de una manera diferente.
Sí, eso es lo que más me gusta del arte, cuando puede como que agarrar algo tradicional, como que puede, no es romper las barreras de la tradición, sino como que abre, como tenía la idea aquí.
Yo diría más para horizontes, le da nueva vida, le da una nueva vida, un nuevo lifespan, no sé.
No, o sea, como que si vamos a hablar con la palabra contemporánea, como que dentro de como que puede, ella usa estas tradiciones que están dentro de ella, pero dentro de la contemporaneidad, que es el siglo XXI, ¿no? Y lo mismo que hizo Bad Bunny con Daydream Fotos. O sea, como que no es que estés escuchando salsa clásica o bomba y plena súper clásica, estás como entendiendo que como que la contemporaneidad se puede entender desde esto, de que sí hay un trazado de la tradición, pero súper informado con lo que pasa hoy. Entonces eso abre otro tipo de cultura, a eso iba.
Abre otro tipo de cultura.
Que crea una cultura nueva de lo que podía ser antes, entonces...
O una subcultura, como hablamos con las subculturas de break culture, de clubbing, ¿no? Donde... Bueno, que hablábamos como que dentro del club scene hay muchos subgéneros y usualmente la gente de color, la gente queer, como vivan estos espacios y entraban en comunidad.
Claro.
Que puede ser otra manera de verlo, pero a través de la música, ¿no? Donde
Sí.
la punta es muy tradicional para alguna gente. Pero
como el neorreggaetón. El neorreggaetón ahora.
Cuando Ariel trae la punta en esta manera, maybe personas de Belice dicen, yo me identifico más con eso, esta es mi manera de honrar a mi cultura en este nuevo contexto.
O te ves, ¿no? Como persona, tipo yo, por ejemplo, amo Darker y me doy cuenta que es como experimental, y hay ciertos casos de neorreggaetón donde yo me identifico full, porque es como agarrar ese reggaetón súper viejo, como Ale y Yoragaki, que es el que... bueno, y como que explicas lo que está pasando ahorita y como que creas otro tipo de...
apertura.
De apertura, sí, o como que le das un matiz mucho más allá, como que puedes plantear la existencia del hoy desde un punto de vista propio, ¿no? Como que sí, lo tradicional nos precede y está dentro de nuestro ADN, pero no somos nosotros.
Un tipo de atemporalidad.
No.
Esto es pincherante.
Entonces, nada, eso fue lo que a mí como que me dejó, y chequense la música de Ariel porque me la súper chévere. Tiene sets no solo en Chicago y en Smartbar, pero a lo largo del mundo, así que si está por Alemania, si está por no sé qué otros más lugares ha ido, pero últimamente lo he visto.
Digo, me he dicho de México que le encanta.
México.
Si estás en Chicago y haces residencias en Smartbar, mensuales o bimensuales, siempre tienes algo corriendo. Así que si quieres ver ese tipo de esa dinámica, digo que lo que vimos nosotros era un poquito más especial porque no había hecho algo así todavía.
Claro.
Estaría interesante ver en qué se convierte, si lo sigue haciendo o si lo deja como un one-off, ¿no? Sujeto maybe a su experiencia o la recepción de la gente o lo que pensó Smartbar.
Sí.
Pero estamos aquí para apoyarla en todo lo que haga.
Hemos llegado al final del episodio. Muchísimas gracias por escucharnos. Sabes que los puedes seguir en social media, en Instagram, en TikTok,
en YouTube,
en Facebook. Y bueno, estamos en Patreon para episodios exclusivos en donde ahí solo pueden tener nuestros debates controversiales.
Y quizás otras cositas.
Y quizás otras cositas más que nos dé la gana hacer y están ahí pues. Pero nada, eso nos ayuda a nosotros a continuar la chamba pues.
Te vamos a dar 5 segunditos para que le des like, le des subscribe, busques nuestro Patreon, chequeas a ver qué te parece. También puedes suscribirte a Patreon sin pagar para que te lleguen notificaciones de lo que está saliendo.
Claro, sí.
Si en algún momento te interesa, a veces ponemos contenido que puedes pagar solamente eso.
Se me olvida.
Pegar el ojo a ver si hay algo que...
Vamos a ir a venir por venir.
Debate de esto. Mira, esta entrevista extendida. Me encantó Ariel. Quiero ver más allá de lo que me enseñas en este episodio. El full extended va a estar ahí.
Sí.
Le envíe algo que te llame la atención. Y, como siempre, aquí abajo tenemos un link de nuestro archivo FLÁ. Si tienes algún artista, si tienes alguna canción, si tienes alguna pieza tuya que crees que me dedicas en FLÁ, somételo ahí. Lo traemos a la conversación. Quizás hacemos un episodio entero de tú como artista o de un artista que tú nos sugieres.
Exacto. Así que con mucho amor te dejamos y te decimos que FLÁ es life.
FLÁ es life.